It's getting on for 3 years ago now when I finished a very enjoyable 8 months in the West End musical Heathcliff, which is an incredible departure for me. I was cast in the role of the troubadour, or wandering minstrel, and as you probably know, Heathcliff was based on the Bronte story. Now, we all remember the Olivier Merle-Oberon, David Niven film, you know, when in actual fact the story finishes halfway through because there's life beyond the death of Cathy. I don't know whether you've read the book or not, or even whether you actually saw Heathcliff, but you know that Bronte didn't write gags, she didn't write funny lines. And it was a very depressing story. When I was asked to appear in Heathcliff, I thought the least thing I could do would be to get the book. So I bought the book and I got halfway through it and I wanted to top myself, it was so depressing. So miserable. But the piece of music I'm about to play you was one of the tunes that I wrote for the show. It gave me the opportunity to do a few interesting things. And this was the only point in the show where one had a little bit of light relief, because it was a picnic scene. This is literally called The Picnic. And it's quite a jolly little scene. As I said earlier, my job in Heathcliff was the troubadour, or wandering minstrel, like a musical narrator, really. But again, if you've read the book, you know that there wasn't a troubadour in Wuthering Heights. That was just a bit of poetic license on Cliff's part to get me a gig, I think, bless him. And when the venues allowed, if the venue was big enough, every night I would appear on a little balcony. I would walk out wearing my troubadour suit and I would play the overture, which would be a solo acoustic guitar piece. And it was nerve-wracking because I was playing about 4,000 people a night. And because the thing was so exposed, you only had to sort of play a wrong note and it would be heard, you know. And I have to say, a bit of jazz did creep in 3 weeks into the show. But I repeated it, right? And the audience didn't notice I got away with it. But the following night, right, standing in the wings, Cliff comes up to me, he said, "Oi, the overture was a bit different last night, wasn't it?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I made a mistake." He said, "Yeah, but you repeated it, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Hank Marvin does it all the time. Don't worry about it." Well, good enough for Hank, good enough for me. So anyway, so I would do the overture. I would be off for an hour, and oh no, I had to play a piece of music for a funeral scene as well. I was a barrel of laughs, Heathcliff was. Be off for an hour, come back on again. I would play a recapitulation of the overture on that very guitar. I would have this behind me like this, you see, and I would have the guitar hung over one shoulder. I had to play the overture, then I had to leap up Penistone Crag, whip this out and do some George Formby songs, right? And that was a joke, actually. And do this picnic music. But in order to make the transition that quickly, as high-tech as the show was, I had to mime the overture, which wasn't a problem for me, because I've done Top of the Pops, that's a joke. I'm pretty hot at miming, I tell you, I'm pretty good at it. And it was a very high-tech show. Everybody in the cast had their own personal little linear monitors, so we could all hear what was going on. And I had a count of 4 in mind, so I could come in dead in time with the miming. And everybody, of course, thought I was playing note perfect. And it was the only point in the show where I could really relax, you know, I could do a bit of posing, if you like. So I would walk out, and I would stand there like this, trying to look mean and moody, you know, waiting for the count of 4. Then I would bring my hands up and I'd start playing. No problem. Until one night, they forgot to turn the fader up with the counting in. And so I'm standing there like this, and suddenly the music starts. Well, my hands are down here. 4,000 people, right? So it's one of these jobs. I think I got away with it. And you know why I got away with it? Because they were still buying their Heathcliff mugs and their Heathcliff programmes and the ice creams. So I think I got away with it. Anyway, on to the music. This is literally called The Picnic. And it goes like this. Now, a guitar that's been waiting patiently to be played is this lovely thing here, and it was in tune 3 hours ago. This is called a baritone guitar. I love this guitar because it's got a remarkable sound. A baritone guitar has got a slightly longer neck than a normal guitar, slightly longer scale, and it allows you to tune much lower than concert pitch, so it gives you almost like a piano-like sound. It's a beautiful bass response. This is called Isabella's Wedding.